of a broken man, but not a broken man. Compromise versus sacrifice.
Who knows the song?
So Hans is coming with a question this morning.
Yes. Well, it's something that I know is one of the main distinctions in your work. And I think it's a great starting point to explore, which is compromise versus sacrifice. And last time I asked what's the difference, or when we were talking about it, you said, well, you could feel it. You can feel it when you've been compromising, and you feel when it's a sacrifice. And then I was thinking, well, if it's a feeling, one could argue that the feeling is the result of something. The feeling is the result of compromising, or the feeling is the result of sacrificing. So it doesn't bring me any closer to understanding what is a compromise and what is a sacrifice, and why is the one bad and the other one good.
Well, I don't know if I would put the labels bad and good on it, but honor is, the feeling I call honor is such a high value. And I'm not talking about whether an individual out there would say it's on their list of values or not. I'm talking about the actual feeling, which is like, it's the equivalent of confirmation from your heart that you're on the right path. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's such a high value that to make a choice that takes that away and gives you the opposite feeling of weakness and doubt and guilt and so forth, it impacts all the rest of your values in your life so much that to make a choice that compromises your honor leaves you suffering and in a lot of ways without power. And so the feeling of honor is such a high value in practical terms that I say you can gauge whether you've compromised by how you feel. Mm. And so the difference, to me, you can feel the difference between compromise and sacrifice, because sacrifice, I would say properly done, or a real sacrifice, is going to leave you with a feeling of honor. Whereas compromise is going to leave you with the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going back to very practical examples for me, and I can see that makes sense.
Bring up an example.
All right. I told you yesterday I made a commitment, and I instantly felt, yes, this is right. And so I'm assuming that's the feeling of honor. And it's this, for all intents and purposes, one could say that I'm way more, for me, we're living together. And for me, the orderliness and the cleanliness of the space is way more important than for you. And so I get irritated by certain things, and then I nag about it. And after a while, because you're attuned to it, we get to some place where, okay, it's more in the way of what I like, and it's cleaner, and we're making progress this way. And that's great and fantastic. And yesterday I realized, so I've been kind of, in a way, tolerating, I would say. I've been tolerating in a way, and then still bringing it, and in a way compromising. I'm trying to meet you in the middle, because it's never really like, it's not as I...
Well, really, tolerating is compromise.
Yes, yeah. Or I didn't tolerate, and then I said it, but it's still a compromise. And yesterday I said, or I could feel, I'm going to add on to it. My being around Michael is so important in what I'm trying to create in my life, which is I want to be this entrepreneur, this businessman. There is no better way for me to learn than to be around you. Okay? So if we don't live together, it's not going to be as good. So I'm saying, in the light of that, I will, whatever, like, because I see he's already making an effort, whatever's left, that's not in line with what I want, I will do it. I will do the dishes, I will sweep the floors, I will do that, and I will make it clean. And when I do it, I'll do it because I want to be this great entrepreneur. So I'm sacrificing. Am I sacrificing? I'm sacrificing time to clean it up. I'm sacrificing, effort, focus there, because I want to be around you for that greater goal. And I don't know, but that I felt instantly, okay, that's powerful. That's a powerful decision for me to make. Then I was debating, should I share it with you or not? But since you brought it up this morning, now I share it. Yesterday I didn't. Because now he has the freedom to...
Well, you felt more powerful than if you were tolerating.
Yes.
That's a clear physical distinction that you can determine.
But you...
That I say was a sacrifice. What you did was you said, me learning business is more important than him doing everything exactly the way I want and whatever.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And when I'm teaching compromise versus sacrifice, I use, and especially when I'm doing it in America, I use a baseball analogy, American baseball. And so when someone's up to bat, and someone else is on base, let's say I'm up to bat, and I might hit the ball up intentionally, and then it's pretty sure someone's going to catch it, and I'll be out. So that's going to affect my statistics negatively. It's going to make me look like worse of a baseball player, all of this. But the idea is that the guy on base gets to advance and hopefully score a run and move the team towards victory. So it's a choice. It's a conscious choice to give up something, but to serve the thing that's more important. And so that would be a sacrifice. And what the two have in common is both of them are compromise and sacrifice are giving up something important to you. But with compromise, you're left with less, a feeling of loss. And with sacrifice, you're giving up something important for something even more important. And what you're essentially doing is it's actually a way of saying what's more important to you. It's in the Bible when they would sacrifice an animal on the altar to God. It's a way of saying God, or our relationship, our devotion it's a way of saying how important it is. We'll give up one of our animals to say as a way of saying what's more important.
So it's funny because with friends we have also a baseball analogy, and it is with women, and it is also a sacrifice. It's there's many ways to say this, but it's when you go out and you're with two friends, and they're two women, and one is nice and the other is not, and the friend is with the nice girl, and the other takes the other girl, and you could say, lean into the pitch.
Lean into the pitch.
Lean into the pitch is the same thing, not when you hit it up, but you lean in so it hits you. So it's a foul ball, so you get to walk.
Well, it's not a foul ball, but you get to...
How you call it?
You get to go to...
You get to... But you like it hurts you, So it's lean into the pitch. And it's a sacrifice.
Right.
So you go with your...
Yeah, so what you're saying in that moment is that brotherhood...
Yes.
Is more important than my personal desires for that evening.
Yes. So let me push you a little bit more to try to understand this then. It seems like the action of the compromise or the sacrifice on the outward seems completely the same. And the difference is a mere how you interpret that, how you stand with that action, what your intention is with that action. It seems like the difference between sacrifice and compromise is the way also you frame this, what's happening right now.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, so imagine a mother with her child, and I don't know, her child screaming or whatever needs her attention, is trying to get her attention. She can go give attention to the child, feeling resentment and feeling obligation and reluctant, and she's suffering inside. It's a compromise. Or she could say, you know what? Yeah, I wanted my peace or my focus right now, but this is my son, I'm going to go and just just devote some time to him because he's so important to me. Now I'm saying, you can say it in a bunch of different ways.
Right.
But you can make it a sacrifice. And then even when I was saying that, I felt my heart,
By presencing honor.
Yes, but remember, honor it's making the stand.
Yes.
Right? So
remembering your stance, presencing honor.
Yes. And again, I use the barometer of how I feel to even know if I properly took a stand.
Right.
So
right.
Yes.
And if you feel like you're compromising, it's not like you not have to say, oh, that was a compromise and I should have a sacrifice. What you could say is like, it feels like a compromise. And so, wait a minute, a whole lot. And I'm going to presence honor. I'm going to remember my stand, or I'm going to take a stand.
Yes.
And then same action is going to feel completely different.
Yes.
Me sweeping the floor, doing your dishes before is like, that motherfucker.
Yes.
And now it's like, I'm working on becoming a better businessman.
Yes.
Okay, yes. That makes complete sense.
Or you could, what you're placing as a higher value is 100% up to you.
Yes.
You could say, I'm giving this time to learn mastery. Like I'm giving, or to just give to me. Yes. Or whatever, to serve the brotherhood.
Or be peaceful in the face of adversity. This is so powerful, because it's really comes down to, if you feel like it doesn't feel right, you're compromising. The difference is, if you want to make it into a sacrifice, you make a stand. Just make a stand. Right there and then, you could change it. You could change the way you feel about it right there and then by making a stand.
Yes.
That's great. That's so powerful. It was never that clear to me that it's just that.
I say compromise kills, because we get in the habit of compromise. And, we even think of it as a positive. We think of compromise as a positive, like in relationship, in marriage, marriage requires compromise. Both sides give in, Well, maybe a good marriage might call for sacrifice at times, but compromise kills. We suffer, and then we resent ourselves, we resent the other for the compromise. And so it totally takes our power away. We can compromise unconsciously all day long. We just kind of give in, give up, go along, tolerate. Compromise is usually less than conscious.
Yes.
Making a stand is being deliberate.
Yes.
It's a very conscious choice. In the face of what I feel now, here's what I'm making a sacrifice for.
That's great, because to me it's much clearer now that making a stand is the actionable thing to do, because you could say, oh, don't tolerate. What the fuck does that mean, Don't compromise, stop compromising. Well, what does it mean? But you can sacrifice. What does that mean? Well, it all means make a stand. Just make a stand, and that's the powerful, actionable seems like such a bad word, but actionable thing.
Yes.
When it doesn't feel right, make a stand.
Yes.
When it feels like a compromise, make a stand. When you feel like you're tolerating, make a stand. When it feels like a sacrifice, you made a stand.
Yes.
It's much easier in that way.
Now there's alternatives to sacrifice. So it's not just one or the other, right? It doesn't need to be just this warrior path of sacrifice. And a lot of people, I know my mom when I would use that word, she had a real reaction to it because she thought of it as like this religious thing, and she felt like she sacrificed too much. But here we go back to compromise.
Right.
Did she sacrifice or did she compromise? Now, I sacrificed a large part of my freedom, fun, everything in my younger years for my work, for my mission, for my purpose. And at some point, it started, there's this desire to live and adventure awaken within me. And the sacrifice I ended up making was actually my work, which was about honor, In some ways, it was like, I'm going to give all that up, and I'm going to stand for myself, my joy, my adventure, my fun, my
and
aliveness.
Walk this dishonorable path for the next decade.
Dishonorably,
yes.
And and I make a big distinction between honor as a feeling and honorable. Honorable says something about the person who's honoring you or not, right? So yeah, in the face of it not looking honorable to other people, I stood for it, and I had my honor. Right. And this is another big distinction, because a lot of people are doing what they think is honorable, what they think they might or might not be honored for.
Right.
And this often is a lot more about image and acceptance than it is about honor.
Exactly. Because, you go back to the feeling. It's your own feeling is going to tell you if you presenced honor for yourself.
Yes.
I see now how clearly the rest is you could say mere semantics. How you define it is really how you define it. But to make a stand, that is to me the very practical way forward for anyone who it doesn't feel right. You
Yes.
don't even have to say it's a compromise or a whatever. It doesn't feel right. What do? You make a stand.
Yes. And you could say, like we say, no tolerating. Well, if you choose not to tolerate, that in a way also is making a stand, right? So, but it is, if you're not taking a stand yet, just saying no, because you can feel when you're tolerating, because you feel it feels a compromise, right? You feel you're suffering inside, you're conflicted, you're feeling like maybe resentment or something like this.
It's often the first step. What is that movie where the guy is speaking into the camera and he says, first you have to get angry, I'm angry and I won't have it no more. I won't take this no more.
Yes.
That's the stop and
he's taking a stand.
Yes. That's for many people, that's the first step, because we've been compromising so much and like.
Yeah, it's a great clip, and it's from an old movie. And I think he goes and yells out the window,
yes,
I'm angry as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then everybody's rallying with him.
Well, in that way, I talk about anger as one of the key, inner forces that's a positive force to guide you, because what it is self-respect. It's like, I'm not going to tolerate. It also means I'm not going to betray myself anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to betray myself anymore. No. And it's that feeling of no. And that's great. And you're it's not, and there's often honor with the no.
Yes.
I'm standing for myself. No. Right.
It's
not yet a yes to something, but at least it's a no.
But even earlier, because that could be the expression of the anger. But imagine that you look at anger as your body telling you, you've been compromising, motherfucker.
Or you're about to, or someone's going to violate you.
Yes.
Warning, say no, defend yourself. Right? Like, you might not have done it yet, but...
So, if you define it like that, I think it's a beautiful thing. The anger that you feel is your body telling you've been disrespecting yourself, you've been not honoring your own self. Do something about it. That's beautiful.
Yes, but not to be confused with, let's say, judgment of another or something like this, where we often don't feel powerful enough to say our no until we're also judging the other, resenting the other. And if we're resenting the other, what we may be blind to is that we're resenting ourselves, and we've been resenting ourselves for so long that finally, if we can put it on the other, finally, we feel powerful enough to do it. the key is to act for yourself before it gets to that, before it gets to judgment. Like, before you've been tolerating for so long that you're blaming the other for your suffering. That's not the most powerful place to come from, because you're really destroying your power to create. So,
or you could see it in a more positive way. When you are judging the other, realize that you've been going too far. You've not answered the emotion of the anger. You know, you've been tolerating, and you've been starting to judge. You're already very far down the path of not honoring your own desires.
Yes. And if we can come back to the honor window, we did the honor window with your group on Sunday on a Zoom call. And underneath that first quadrant, you can really get to honor, desire, and anger. They all have wisdom there. And in the beginning, I would just go to honor. Like, how you've been judging the other person is the beginning of the gateway to see what they're standing for. Mm-hmm. It's the beginning of the gateway to honor, to re-presence honor. But some years after it was first developed, we were in Australia, we were in an ice stand, and my buddy who was also becoming a teacher for me, and in me, remember, I'm sharing now personal stories, which I don't even know if I shared that day he walked into my office and asked me, like, what does Michael want for Michael? You know, like, not all honor and vision. Like, what about you, man? Like, you're worth something. He was making a stand for me. And he really just kept affirming, like, my desire to be alive, to have my own desires. And so his whole thing was, in a way, it was on this powerful force of desire. But we were in this ice stand, and he wanted to come and share something in front of the group with everyone. And this is not how I do the ice stand. Like, the people who are on the assisting team don't come and like start teaching something new. But he felt so strongly about it, and I also wanted to honor him as a teacher, and I let him. And then the whole thing went into chaos. But it was brilliant what he said, because underneath, let's say underneath every way that you're judging me, if we come back to the dishes or something else, is a desire that you have. Mm-hmm. And what if you could, instead of going to the judgment, really connect to your desire for the beauty, for the clean space? If you connect deeply with it, you can just act from that, right? You can serve the beauty, whether that's a conversation to me, to show me a beautiful vision, and or to get so into it yourself that you just want to clean from that desire, but also, we learn judgment as we're much younger, and we learn to shut down our desire. We couldn't tell our mom what we want to feel her love, or we want to be hugged, or we desire this, we desire that. We learn to shut it down, and then we cover it up with judgment.
That's interesting. Like, why is that? But maybe you can answer it. But what I see in this, that's what I feel is important to me, to anyone listening, is that what I see now is that the anger that you feel, the compromise that you feel, the tolerating that you feel, the judgment that you feel, are incredible, powerful gateways to something different.
Yes.
It's not bad.
Something much more powerful and beautiful.
It's not bad. It's not bad that you have that. It's great. If you're attuned to it, like, we may have a tendency to judge that even, to judge the anger, to judge, I'm judging, to judge, I've been compromising. No.
Which can put you deeper in the hole.
Yes. But imagine that you see, okay, wow, you're aware of it now. This is the gateway. This is the gateway from judgment, say, to desire. It's
a call.
Yeah. Say, it's a call. Your body with anger is saying, hey, do something about it. It's a gateway from judgment to, say, desire. Yes. It's a gateway from compromise, say, to sacrifice. Yes. So it's a very powerful, pivotal point that don't judge it further.
Yes.
I see a very practical thing in that.
And a lot of men, they judge their feelings. They judge, I'm starting to feel something, and they don't have any strength with that or mastery of that. So it's scary.
Right.
If they feel something strong enough, they could do something violent. They could do something crazy, whatever, or they could look emotional. They could be judged. But these feelings, there's such an intelligence there that can lead us to being powerful self-leaders, leaders, and creators in life, if we can tune into this and view it as a call to...
Well, anger is a great example, because I argued before that anger is a bigger taboo than sex. Sex is a big taboo, anger is even bigger. Men are faced with a history of so much violence, are judging the feeling. And it's just that. It's a feeling.
Yes.
It's just that. It's your body saying, hey, you're not taking care of something here.
Yes.
Please take care of it.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
When I'm teaching the courses, I have a theme, and it's anger. And it's usually the most volatile of all. Sex is like, and we deal with it, it's okay. Anger is just guys revolt,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want to do this, or, it's a bigger taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just great information of your body telling you you're not aligned with something.
Yes. And if you're trying to live your life without feeling it, it likely means you're compromising all over the place. You are not standing up for yourself. You don't honor this. You don't honor this powerful force to say no, to put boundaries, to put limits, on yourself, on authority, on her, on your brothers. It's such a powerful force. And this is the other thing that it was really a few years after, O came to that ice stand in Australia, that I really started exploring a lot more anger in terms of respect and boundaries. Because boundaries is not something for me that, I've pretty much always in my life, I've been the no, I'm not going to tolerate, I'm not going to compromise. But I didn't really honor boundaries as far as putting boundaries on myself or putting boundaries on other people. And I was working with a man. I think I was in Thailand and or Africa, and I was training him to facilitate my work over Zoom calls. It was maybe 6 years ago, and I was teaching him to build a practice, using the work, and he was in a relationship with a woman, and he really didn't have facility with his no. And what was happening was he would keep disrespecting her, leading to her disrespecting him, and he wants to blame her because she's, he would be the nice guy, until she lashed out at him, and until he eventually just lashed out at her is what I mean to say. And what I really got clear on is the honor window pointing at the boundaries that he needs to draw so that, first and foremost, he's not disrespecting her. Because if he's disrespecting her, she's going to do it back.
What has making boundaries to do with not disrespecting her? Or are you saying first don't disrespect her and at the same time?
So the honor really points this out, with the judgments. So judging someone in a way is like when I'm talking about judgment, I'm talking about emotional judgment, right? Yes. Looking down on, it's that kind of energy. In a way, that is the disrespect.
Okay.
Right? That is, it is a threat. It is a felt threat to the other. And as they feel that, they're going to return it, which means they're returning the disrespect.
Okay, I understand.
That's on a very subtle level. Once you start feeling that, if I'm judging you, I'm going to feel okay about actually disrespecting you with my words or my actions.
Yes. What does it have to do with your own border control? Because you say them in the same phrase a minute ago. With your own boundaries.
Yeah, so for example, you're on a phone with, let's say, your ex-wife or the mother of your baby mama, but you guys are not in a relationship. And she's speaking to you in a disrespectful way.
Yes.
Okay? And you're starting to get angry. And you're starting to give it back to her.
Right.
Right? And this is going to escalate. Now, if you're going to lead this situation, like first you need to know, yes, you want to put boundaries on her. But if you're putting boundaries on her and you're also disrespecting her,
right,
she's not going to respect you. So you need to have higher boundaries to prevent yourself from disrespecting her, which could look like, okay, I'm starting to disrespect you. I'm not going to do that. I'm getting off this call. We can talk when there's mutual respect.
Say that again, because that seems to fit, to bring together the boundary control and that goes hand in hand with the disrespecting.
Yeah, so I start to notice, I'm starting to speak disrespectful to you.
Yes.
Like this is the mother of my child, right?
Yes.
I'm not going to do that. This is my boundary. I will not disrespect you.
Okay.
Right? This is my boundary. And so, first of all, because and this is where we come back to like having a higher standard for yourself than your woman has for you.
Yes.
I'm going to apologize if I violate my own boundaries. I'm sorry, so-and-so, I'm disrespecting you. That's not who I am. I refuse to do that. I will not disrespect you. And I'm also feeling disrespected. So,
which means if
either we turn this around right now on this call, or we have to talk another time.
So what's going on is this. I sense I'm judging you, disrespecting you. I'm putting a clear border or boundary. This is I see that I'm going across a border that I don't want to cross, you know. So I'm stopping with that now. I can feel where the border is. It's right here.
Yes.
Which means I'm not going to go across, and instantly means also I will not let you come across that border. Because then you're disrespecting me.
100%.
So in that way, putting my own boundaries for me is also setting the tone of not letting the other disrespect me.
Yes.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Yes. And what a lot of guys might do, well, a lot of times they'll just lash out and react to whatever she's saying. And all the reaction is not about what she's saying. It's about the judgment that's there.
What's great about this, what's powerful in this is that, again, as being an ally, as being being the one to save the marriage, the relationship, you can do it by yourself. You start by yourself, and not tolerating border control is a great way, not just saying to her, stop there, but it's saying, I will not cross this because I know I go into territory that I don't like to be in.
Yes.
So it really starts with you. Starts with you presencing honor, starts with you putting control, starts with you answering the anger that you feel in you. And it starts with you stopping judging, stop to sacrifice, all of that. So that's very, very powerful, you know.
And if she's shaming you, if she's judging you, odds are you've already been crossing that boundary.
Yes.
You've been disrespecting her. You've been judging her. And so it comes back to you. And it is so powerful because it keeps calling you to a higher level in your growth. And as you lead yourself to the higher level, she's going to follow you. She's really going to view you as a leader. And she's going to be grateful that you led her from her judgment and negativity and whatever to a higher place of mutual respect and honor.
And how you do it in every situation, I think the shortest mantra is make a stand. Make a stand, you know, to turn your compromise to a sacrifice. Make a stand to turn your judgments into talk about desire. Make a stand to have that border, to stop disrespecting the other so they don't disrespect you. Make a stand is really the powerful thing to do in every situation when it feels wrong.
Yes, and it doesn't need to look like the process we go through in the morning of, making a stand. But, it could be, for example, simply remembering and choosing to pause the conversation
Right.
and say, you know what? I realize I'm judging you, and that's not okay with me. And who you are for me is the mother of my son, and and I'm presencing honor right now as I'm doing it, and who I am for you, right? So it's the presencing honor.
Next time I see you with your dirty feet in the sofa, presence honor, presence honor. It's true. I'm saying it because I also don't want it to be too serious, but that's what it is. You got to remember your stand. Why you're doing it,
Yes.
If I remember why we're here in Brazil, flew across the world,
Yes.
put everything aside. If I remember that, I could deal with anything,
Yes.
It's remembering your stand. It's remaking that stand.
Yeah, the things that we're up to together in business and with the honor work and serving men and relationship is so much bigger than any little thing you and I might have friction about.
Yes.
Here, really. So much bigger.
And I feel that, because I know what the bigger thing is, but you got to remember it. You got to remember it. You got to remember it,
And what's great is the feelings that you have inside can be your guide. They're your call. They're your clue. But the way that we're used to dealing with those feelings
Yes.
leads us to compromise
Yes.
of our integrity, our power, our honor, our self-respect, our vision, everything.
Well, in fact, you could say it's a lack of awareness around our feelings that is the cause of all this. And being aware of how you feel really is the first step in recognizing what's going on for you, what's needed to do.
Yes. And I'll just say, it's actually the opposite of the way we're trained.
Yeah.
Most of us, for most of our life, in most contexts, we're trained for compromise, tolerating, obedience, and to go along with stuff that is not okay with us.
Yes.
That does not line up with our values, our desires, and our vision.
Disregard how you feel. Do as we say.
Yes.
Wow.
It's really revolutionary. Imagine that the whole world was really supported and trained in honoring their inner guidance. Imagine the shit we wouldn't put up with as human beings.
We walk into the street, rebel, let's go! That's great. That's fantastic. I'm happy we clarified for me compromise versus sacrifice. I see it's in a way semantic difference. And the way forward is really making a stand, remembering your stand, taking a stand again. That's what I see as the very powerful.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean
forward.
when you say semantic difference. People often, when they say it's just semantics, meaning it's the words are different, but it doesn't really matter.
Well,
because it's kind of the opposite of what's true. Is that what we're pointing at really, really matters.
Yeah.
It's a very fine distinction, but it really fucking matters.
Yes. But what I'm saying is that the explanation is not in the definition of the words, or the understanding of what to do about it is not in the explanation of the definitions of those two words, but it really is in understanding what it means to make a stand, to presence honor. That's where the gold is. And when you get that, then sacrifice versus compromise all of a sudden 100% makes sense.
Yes. So anyone out there, if you're looking for a way to get to know honor, to reclaim your honor, to own it, to have it, to use it as a guide, to have facility and mastery with it, there's a place you can go. Like, you can master the honor work. You can become an honor Jedi. Search out someone named Michael Skye, or someone else like Hans Comyn, who is learning to master it. And yes, come to know yourself as powerful in ways you never have before.